Let's create these nails together. Grab a brew, put your feet up, and let's begin. What I'm going to do with this particular set as well is I'm going to say what I would do differently. Now, this set is probably a couple of years old now. Well, it's not a couple of years old. I did it a couple of years ago, if that makes sense. So, I am starting off by pushing the cuticles back. I think this was a Starlex cuticle pusher. Now, the first thing I would do differently, I now work in reverse from left to right, so I can do it all in one motion. What I used to do, and this works just as well to be fair, is I will go down the left-hand side of the nail, and then I'll go down the right-hand side of the nail. I prefer my method now. However, this does work really well. And if you are new and you're having lifting problems, it's a great technique just to make sure that you're really getting in and getting all of that non-living tissue off the nail plate. Once you're happy with that, I will go in. I use a dry brush. Still, I did then, and then I still do now, just to get any dust off. The reason I use a dry brush is I just find that it gets it off and it doesn't kind of stick anything into the cuticle area. After that, and this is something that I've done pretty much once I found these scissors, I have not changed because they're amazing. But these are from Katie Barnes, and they are the mini cuticle, kind of curved cuticle scissors, and they are just fabulous. So yeah, the everything is linked in my bio in the link tree, and I think if you just look at the curved cuticle scissors, they're there. Now, the next thing I'm doing is etching the nail plate. I actually use a mini sanding band now because the mobile e-file I've got is much, much better for that. The e-file that I had at the time was a fabulous e-file, but it didn't go low enough and the torque wasn't low enough for me to work at a very low speed. So I had to manually etch the nails as I'm doing here. This is probably still one of my favourite files, the Kirsty Meakin file, the metal one. But I absolutely would do it by using my sanding band now. Now, this is a real personal preference. It depends from person to person how you prefer to do it. I'm using this etching motion here just to make sure that nail plate is really nice and roughed up and ready for any product that I'm going to apply. But yeah, that like I say, I just prefer the sanding band because I find that I can get right into those corners, and I find it much quicker. I'm really trying to speed up my services, and I find that the sanding band does make that just that little bit quicker for me. Tip fitting, I still do this exactly the same way. Measure them from sidewall to sidewall, apply the tiniest amount of glue, and then just apply a bit of pressure just to make sure they're really stuck. And I still use predominantly the Pro Impressions tips with the Pro Impressions glue. I've tried numerous other glues, and to be fair, nothing has come close. And it just works so well with their tips, and their tips are absolutely my standout favourite. I do really like the natural ones from Nails by Ashley because they're great for a square nail. But these are probably one of my favourite ones. I think these are the pinched coffin competition tips. But yeah, absolutely amazing. Now, I did have in, a discount code for them, but I'm not sure whether that's still there anymore. So it was Ali10, I think. If that doesn't work, if you just put like Insta10, go to their Instagram page. They've got discounts on all the time. But yeah, dead reasonable, and I love these tips. So cleansing, I have made sure I've got all that dust off. I will have gone in with a wet brush as well before this, and then I am just really dehydrating. I like to be really specific with this. I try not to get any of the acetone on the tips as it can affect the tips, and I don't want to melt any of the tips into the nail. In effect, again, it all can affect adhesion. This is something that I still use and I think will always use, and that is the that is the Young Nails Protein Bond. It is literally just one of the best standout primers that I've ever used, and it makes clients that never had any problems. They might have lost the odd one in 3 or 4 weeks, but nothing major. But there's just no lifting at all now. It's fantastic. Next, I go in with a clear base layer. Now, I used to do this on every single client, but now I will assess the client. If you're having problems with lifting, do this on every client. It does make life so much easier, and it just, because there's no pigment in it, it makes it kind of adhere that little bit better. But I find there's some clients I get that just repeatedly get the same nude, in which case I will just go in with the nude just to save myself a little bit of time. But if I'm doing any kind of design work, ideally, I will try and use a clear base layer or any kind of really highly pigmented colours, anything like that, because obviously I want to protect the nail plate. And again, it helps with the actual longevity of the nails. You'll notice as well, I am working a little bit wetter. Sometimes I do this with the one monomer because it really helps, certainly just on the base layer, with your adhesion, because there's a primer in it. So might not work for everybody. I find this works really well for me. So then we go in with our colour. I'm going to leave the nude, I think, to last on this set. And I am doing like a kind of glitter cuff here. So I will literally, on the nails where I'm doing the cuffs, I'm literally just placing a tiny bit of colour. This nail is a full colour nail. I think with all of these I went in with glitter, we'll find out in a moment. But basically it's a really highly pigmented powder from CJP, so you can see how thin you can work with that. You don't need a lot at all. But I am just feathering that down the nail wherever I'm going to be putting glitter. I always do this when I'm doing like a glitter fade or anything, just because I find it really, really helps with coverage, and you find then you're not faffing about for ages trying to get the full coverage glitter. So just a similar colour powder underneath makes your life so much easier. Then again, I think there's a glitter fade on the thumb, so I'm going to go in and do that again, just halfway up, and I'm just making sure I really blend that up. This client's got amazing nail beds. I always say it to her and she laughs, but honestly, they are so nice to work on, but also look great on pictures. So get you a client with really good nail beds. Then I'm going in with a CJP powder. Now it's either Stalker or Euphoria. I can't remember which, but it's the more lavendery one. But basically, over that lavender powder, I will go in and I will literally just using the tip of my brush, I'll coax that down. And you see there, I've barely needed to work with that at all, and I've got pretty much full coverage. So like I said, if you are struggling with glitter, this is a really good way to make your life so much easier when you're working with it. So we're going to work on the nude next to cover the reverse fade. So this is on the little finger. So I'll just place a relatively small bead there, and I'm using my brush in a way that it's kind of the belly of the brush is pushing the product down the nail, but you'll notice it's kind of thinning it out a little bit over the colour, so you get more of a fade, over the glitter rather. I hope that makes sense. If not, give me a shout in the comments. I'll try and explain it a bit more. But basically I will start there. You'll see that you can kind of see a little bit. I will go over that with clear at the cuticle area as well, and then I'll go in with the cuticle bead. Again, it's not normally the 3-bead method I would use, but I just find this a really good way when I'm doing a glitter fade like this of getting that kind of shearing out effect, I suppose is what I'm trying to say, at the cuticle area, so it's not just like a solid block and you can see that fade. As I said before, I'm going in with the cuticle bead, just a teeny tiny bead of clear, and then I am just blending that down over the whole nail. I don't need to worry too much about building up any structure there, because with all of those layers of acrylic and everything like that, I've got plenty of structure in there. Then I'm going to cap the glitter finger, really straightforward and simple, this one. Again, sometimes I'll try and work a little bit wetter when I'm capping, and I'm trying to keep that finger pointed down, and I'm just easing that down and using the belly of the brush just to kind of get that further down. I'm trying not to poke it too much. I'm using the belly of my brush rather than poking it with the tip of my brush, because that can get bubbles into it, and I'm trying not to touch it too much. You do need to kind of obviously work with it a little bit, but the less you work with it, the less bubbles you're going to get in your clear. Again, another glitter fade from the cuticle area. So you'll see there I'm just using the tip of the brush just to thin that out a little bit, and then I'm using the belly of the brush just to kind of keep that in. I don't know whether you noticed, but when I actually place that, I don't instantly move it down. I'll normally let it sit on the brush or the nail just for a second, because it allows it to polymerize so it doesn't just wipe away and you keep that structure in. Then, as before, I am capping it. Again, it's exactly the same. This is exactly how I would do this kind of nail now if I was doing it. Working a lot with the cuticle bead there, and I'm trying to make sure that cuticle bead, the tip of the brush rather, is really tucking that in. So this is a fade kind of the other way, so I'll put my cuticle bead on. I'll just tease that in and arrange that around the cuticle where I want it, and then I'll blend it down. So again, you'll notice I've not really touched the end of that too much until I need to, and it just means I get that opacity so it doesn't just blend away, and also it covers the blend area so you get a really nice smooth fade. And then I've got to pig about for about 10 minutes with this little bit of glitter, which was clearly triggering me. I think I ended up, because I wanted to see a bit more glitter, going over with some glitter over the top here. But obviously my client would have been very happy with that. I always discuss that with them, and just to see if they wanted. I think we wanted a little bit more glitter showing, so it was a little bit more obvious, if that makes sense. But yeah. And now I would probably try and get it a little bit closer to the cuticle than I am here. In all honesty, there will be a very thin layer of acrylic at the cuticle, but I would probably try and get a little bit closer now. And as always, cap it. With glitter, you need to make sure it's all completely matte. If you can see anything shining, it's not fully capped. So I'm going to you watch, not the rest of it, but I will come in towards the end again. I'll let you watch the rest of this application now. If you are enjoying this, could I ask that you drop us a like and a follow? I'd be super grateful. And if you make sure you hit the notification button, I am dropping more and more longer form content like this. If there's anything you specifically wanted to see, again, let me know in the comments. But I'm really, really enjoying doing it and editing the videos and trying to get them up. And I see them; they seem to be doing really well. So if you do want to see more like this, or if you want them in a certain style, or anything else particularly covered, let me know and I'll try and arrange that for you. So in a moment we'll see application only, which I was super chuffed with on this set. And then we are going in with the hand file. I will always file the free edge first, and then I'll go in with my filing routine. I'm not sure whether I've left that on, but my filing routine hasn't really changed much at all. I've done that pretty much the same. I do think my filing's better now, and I think my shaping's better, but I think that, if you look at any sets that you've done a few years ago, no matter how good they are, I think there's always room for improvement, which is why I try not to be too hard on myself, because every set I'm like, there's something that I can do better or change. But with the filing, I will always go down one side of the nail, down the other side of the nail, then I will kind of bevel over the top. I don't know whether that's the right word. I do need to get some more of these files. I keep cheaping out and not doing it. I'm just going to do it and bite the bullet, because the shape that you get with them is amazing. Um, the only reason I don't is because it's the only thing that I actually buy from the Kirsty Meakin store. So I probably just need to bulk buy, and then I don't need to get them for a while. But what I love about them is this file on the top. You see, when in a moment you'll see me buffing. I don't know whether I've left it in, but I use the pink buffer on the other side, and because it's on a metal file board, the shape that you get is immaculate. So and when I kind of smooth over and buff over at the end, it just really helps kind of minimize the amount of actual filing you have to do, and kind of smooths it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and buy some of those files because I adore them. And in a moment, we've got our gorgeous top coat moment. And let's face it, who doesn't love a top coat moment? It's so satisfying. I I use few different top coats on my acrylics. It depends on what suits the client, but this one is particularly lovely. It is the Kirsty Meakin top gloss. Just fabulous. It's a really, really nice consistency. You'll see there it doesn't add a lot of bulk, but it not only does it add shine, but that shine will literally last for, I mean, until it comes back for the next fill. So I really, really like this top coat. And in a moment we'll have the final look. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And I am always make sure you finish with your cuticle oil. But yeah, this is the final look. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye now.